Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts. And I'm excited to kick off Season 2 of our podcast series in partnership with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. It's called We Are REC. Every week we'll release a new episode talking to different people from REC about a host of different topics. We'll get tips for saving money on your electric bill. We'll talk about renewable energy and the impact it can have in our communities. We'll get some behind-the-scenes info about what happens when the power goes out in a storm. Don't miss out on information about community grants, scholarships, REC-hosted events, and more. Get every single episode on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab. Or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on Spotify. Just do a quick search for We Are REC. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are live in the studio today. I mentioned it as the show wrapped up yesterday. It was pre-recorded, but I knew that we were going to be live in the studio today. Sitting across the desk from me for Public Safety Thursday is, of course, Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. How's my favorite sheriff doing, Gos?
Well, you know, I'm sure he'll text me in a few moments and let us both know. Contrary to popular belief, I do not see him every day.
What?
I usually hear from him at least in some form or fashion, whether it's in person, phone call, text, or email. But
you haven't laid eyes on him
not
yet
today. So.
Well, and I know that when we were here last month, we kind of had probably the most on-the-fly conversation that we have ever had. But today you are much more organized and ready to go because we have traffic laws to talk about.
I am
and there's
prepared.
your phone lighting up. Is that my favorite sheriff?
No, that's my team.
Oh, they're making fun of you.
What?
Probably.
Why do you got to assume that? Let's see. I don't know. I can't read it right now. I'm, texting while broadcasting.
While broadcasting, yeah. We got to. Is that on your list of things that
we can add it there
allowed?
because broadcasting's dangerous enough for some. So you really don't want you don't want them having something else taking their attention away and saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
I know. Well, and it's funny, and you would appreciate this because you have been out of radio for so long. But I haven't been doing very many live shows. I was telling you before we turned on the mics that I'm averaging about 3 a month, and now 2 of those are gone. So you're probably going to be one of the few live shows. But when I came in this past Monday to do a live show with Warren County Administrator Doug Stanley, my favorite county administrator for a few more days, and I'm looking, okay, what do I do? What buttons do I push? What do I got to get ready? It really does go out of your brain in a hurry.
You got to keep it fresh. You made fun of me a few months ago when I wanted to use the facilities here to produce a little thing for a personal project. And it's like, you don't remember this? You don't remember that? It's like, no, but I've got an excuse. I've been out 23 years.
Yeah, I was only out a month, and it was going out of my brain. So what are we talking about today?
All right, so what we talked about last month, of course, in June, we were talking about the upcoming changes to some of the traffic laws and such that were going to take effect July 1. So I brought a few of those here to talk about today, highlighted some of the ones that I thought might pertain more so to the listeners, might interest them more, and more importantly, what would educate them the best to help them avoid getting into a situation where they might find themselves getting pulled over or even summoned and fined for something that they're not aware of. So, you ready to start it?
I was going to say, in the interest of full disclosure, you refused to tell me what any of them were so that you could get a true reaction from
We were visiting with the staff out in the office, talking about other things, dreams and COVID and crashes. It wasn't that I refused. I was like, I just wanted to see your first response,
Okay.
This one we've already talked about. Virginia is going hands-free.
Right.
Now, the law has already been approved and passed and signed, but it's taking a delayed effective date of January 1, 2021. But basically, Virginia's hand-free law prohibits any person from holding a handheld personal communication device while operating a motor vehicle.
For any reason.
Correct. Now, you're making an emergency phone call. When we say any reason, if you're calling in an emergency, something like that, you'll be okay. But if you're holding that phone while that vehicle is in motion and you're on the public highway, you're going to be held accountable for it.
So if I'm having a conversation and the person on the phone is on speaker and I'm holding the phone up to my ear to hear them better, I am no longer allowed to do that.
Correct. If you are trying to take a photo of that person in front of you that's now made you angry because they cut you off or whatever, and you want to post it on social media to shame them, or you want to show it to law enforcement for enforcement purposes even, that's now illegal.
Were you in the car with me earlier today?
I just think I know you well enough by now. If you are trying to change your playlist and get different music playing or a different song.
Or a different podcast.
If you're using that phone for anything.
Even Google Maps.
Correct. It can't be in your hand. There are items you can use to help you. Bluetooth items are going to be one of the biggest things that'll be able to help folks. If you have to hold the phone up on speaker to your ear to hear the person, all right, I can understand that, because some of these phones, the little earpieces, they're not really, either they're not that loud or they're not conducive with how the human ear is shaped.
If you have the windows down or
Correct.
any of that.
But if you put a Bluetooth through your radio system in the car, now instead of just one speaker that you're holding up close to your ear, you have at least 4, if not 5, 6, 7, depending on the quality of your stereo system, that you can crank up to 25. And everybody 3 cars away will be able to hear the person that you're speaking to. So there are ways that you're going to be able to still use the functionality of the phone. If you're trying to use the navigation, you can get a holder for your vent, for your cup holder, for your cigarette lighter. They have holders now that fit in all those fixtures that then will hold your phone in a position where you can keep your hands on the wheel. Now, the thing with that is you want to make sure you position that phone somewhere near the area of your displays and your heads-up view of the road. You don't want to have it down on your middle console.
Or up on the dash where it's hindering your view
Correct.
of the road.
You don't want to block your view of the road, but you also don't want to avert your attention down towards your lap to see what turn you need to make and not be seeing what's going on ahead of you. Look, it's safety over convenience. I'll preach that from now until eternity. It's what we teach when we're in the academy. It's what we teach when we do go to the high schools and other public civic organizations and speak to them. I'm sorry if it hurts anybody's feelings, but we're going to preach safety over convenience, because I can tell you right now, as we talked about before the show, Janet, in Frederick County, we've had more people die in traffic fatalities since March, when the coronavirus thing hit full on. We've had more people in Frederick County die in traffic fatalities than have died from COVID-19. We're having more serious crashes with serious injuries. We're seeing higher speeds. We're seeing more aggressive driving. And I don't know if it's the stress of the situation, people cooped up in homes, schools being closed, people out of work, people on reduced hours, bills being due. I understand all of that. But whether that's contributing to how people are behaving behind the wheel, I don't know. But we need to get it under control, because one thing that we all pretty much have in common is we're all traveling the roads at some point in time, whether we're the drivers or the passengers, or whether we're the clients of someone else even driving for us. We're all using those roads at some point in time, and we're all being put at risk. So hands-free, January 1 is when it goes into effect. Other than right now, if you're in a work zone,
right,
you can't have it.
And it's been that way for a while.
Correct. And if a work zone is up, even if it's a temporary work zone, and they don't have a sign posted that says no electronic communication devices allowed, that doesn't get you out of it.
Assume that there is anyway.
If it's a marked work zone and a prudent driver would realize that they're entering it, and especially one with a reduced speed, cones, barrels, and such, put the phone down. Because seeing it in your hand is all an officer, deputy, or trooper needs to pull you over.
So it takes effect January 1, 2021. Is that so that you guys have time to do a lot of what you're doing right now, which is educate the public and get them to understand and realize this is important and this is why?
Yes, it's for people to make the adjustment, people to buy if they need to buy, the phone holder, the Bluetooth adapter, or to get used to syncing their phone up with the current car they have. I can tell you, if you have a 2014, 2015, or newer vehicle, you probably have Bluetooth capability already built in, whether you realize it or not. And the newer cars even now, when you plug your USB into their little charger port and then plug it into your phone, it automatically, CarPlay is one of the popular ones that'll sync up. All you got to do is turn the radio on. If you know where the right button is, you hit it, and wow, look, there are my contacts. There are my text messages. I can go voice to text. It'll read the text to me, and I can reply with my own voice, never even having to touch a button.
Yeah, that's what my kid does, but my car's a 2004. It doesn't have any of that stuff.
Well, Tim, let's get on that. Let's get her upgraded.
We need a new Volvo, so if Buyer Volvo is a fan of the show, reach out.
The only other thing I'm going to point out about the hands-free bill is that the punishment, that people want to realize that if you're convicted of reckless driving, and when you committed the offense, you were using the cell phone or holding the cell phone, it's a minimum fine of $250.
And that's a first offense, because usually those fines get larger the more times you're actually charged with it.
All right. So that was the biggie, because, I mean, who doesn't have a cell phone these days? There are 7- and 8-year-olds out there. Hopefully they're not driving, but, other than their little Hot Wheels car. But who doesn't have a cell phone these days? And so, we want people to be prepared for it. And I know people are going to have their own opinions, and we're going to have people for it. We're going to have people against it, just like we have people that are like, yep, seatbelt saved lives, and other people that, I'm a grown man. I don't need anybody to tell me. If it's my time, it's my time.
Who is that guy?
Just one of my characters from my repertoire. But whether it's one or the other, it's not Big Brother. We're trying to save lives.
Safety.
That's it. Safety over convenience, okay?
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, can we go through the rest of the list?
Yep, ma'am.
Okay. We are in the studio live today with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. It is Public Safety Thursday. We are going through some of the new traffic laws that are taking effect July 1st. In this case, we were talking about the hands-free that goes into effect on January 1st, but you got to start practicing for it now. We're going to come back and talk more with Gos in just a couple of minutes.
Do you know anyone who is struggling with financial hardships because of coronavirus? Our new webinar called Coping with the Money Crunch can help. We'll talk about immediate options to consider, revising or creating a spending plan, and lots of community resources. Then we'll cover how to narrow your priorities, contact creditors, and avoid scams and risky loans. The webinar is free, and you can either join by phone or through Zoom on a smartphone, tablet, or computer. You can find out more by visiting the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program on Facebook or calling Karen Poff at 540-635-4549. Let me show you how to make your own plan or help someone you care about get through the crisis. Call 635-4549 or visit at NSV Financial Education on Facebook today.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Public Safety Thursday. We are live in the studio.
Well, and I think today we go back to Traffic Safety Thursday since we're talking new traffic laws. Team Traffic in Frederick County is on the streets today, but I think they're tuned in. So thanks so much for reminding them to give me a hard time.
Yeah, and to stay away from Reliance Road in about an hour when I head home.
Did I not mention the checkpoint we're having?
Oh, yeah, great. If you don't recognize that voice, it is Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. So, guys, in the first segment, we can't say it enough, so we're going to say it one more time. Hands-free law has passed. It goes into effect January 1, 2021, but people need to start practicing and getting ready for it now.
Yes. I mean, the other thing I'm always surprised at, in a way, is when I see folks from out of state West Virginia and Maryland in particular, where they
already have one.
They have hand-free bills already passed in law, and there they are in our jurisdiction with the phone in their hand. And I'm just like, okay, well,
Was there a sign posted at the state line that said, grab your phone?
Well, it's like radar detectors back in the day.
I remember that.
They were allowed to have radar detectors, so they'd come here and they'd have them in operation. And we had plenty of signs saying, hey, no radar detectors. And then they're like, what? But no, January 1, it goes into effect, other than right now, as we mentioned, work zones currently in effect. And it does mean if you have the phone in your hand for any purpose while you're driving upon the highways, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there because, truth is truth. If you're legally stopped, you're at a red light, legally stopped, you can have the phone in your hand. Okay? What I want you to realize, though, light turns green and you don't go, now you're impeding traffic. And you got the phone in your hand when you're not supposed to. So it's like, is it really worth it to have that guy sitting beside you that you didn't realize was an unmarked car looking at you as you're looking at your phone, and you look up and you see the light's been green now for several seconds.
You hear the horn behind you, which is
But if you're legally stopped, you can use it. If it's an emergency situation, you can use it. But other than that, everything else, like I said, you have the next 5.5 months now to get prepared and be ready, whether that's Bluetooth within your vehicle, whether it's a holding device so that you can see the phone if you need, like if you're using navigation, because that's the only time you really need to see the phone.
Right. Well, and I won't say the name. I have an iPhone, so you know what name I would call out. But you can even say, hey, blah, 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 read my last text message or read me my text messages, and they will do that. So start practicing doing that now because it's kind of cool.
Hey,
as long as nobody else is in the car.
Anybody in Front Royal
message.
Today that watched me on the way here probably thought I was crazy, unless they're thinking outside the box. Is because, look at that guy talking to himself going down the road. What's wrong with that cop?
I wonder what song he's singing along to.
And that's because I'm on the phone with my buddy Michael West from Tag Team Days. We're going to try to see each other in Virginia Beach this weekend. And while I'm going down the road, I'm like, I got to call Bubba. So I'm like, hey, Siri, call Michael Mendelson. And what happens? Ding! She pops up.
To see if your phone is lit up.
Yeah, I set it low enough that hopefully she doesn't. But puts the call through and through the speakers in the car. I'm telling you, with today's technology, there's no excuse not to be able to go hands-free while you're operating that vehicle.
It's one of those things that we're going to get used to and wonder why we never did this all along anyway. You just got to get
some
there.
People.
Yeah.
We're never going to convince some. Just like we can't convince them to wear their seatbelt, even though it's been proven that they save lives. So let's move on to the next thing. You ready?
What's the next one?
Here's one of the ones that I thought should have been done a while back. They've updated the reckless driving by speed statute. Used to be that if you were going more than 80 miles an hour, regardless of the speed limit, you could be considered reckless driving by your speed.
Oh.
Well, now with the interstate being 70 miles an hour, 81 miles an hour is 11 over. And while we don't want people to go any over, let's be serious, 11 over really for reckless?
That's a bit extreme. Yeah.
So what they've done now is they've now said that it's got to be over 85 miles an hour or anything 20 over the posted speed limit. So again, when you get into a 55 zone, if you're going 76 or higher,
that's it.
You're considered reckless driving by your speed. If you're in a 65 mile an hour zone, well, of course, now 85, that makes the 20 mark, you're reckless driving. 70 mile an hour zone, you cross that 85 mile an hour mark, even though that's only 15 to 16 over, you're going to be considered or can be considered reckless driving by your speed.
I didn't know that there was an actual speed limit. I thought it was always 15 miles over the speed limit was reckless or 20 miles over the speed limit was reckless. I didn't know there was an actual limit that also was attached to that law.
Yep. The 80 came into being back when speed limits started going above 55.
Ah.
So the only other thing I'll add in here is anyone who's driving more than 80 miles an hour but below 86 miles an hour. So you're 81, 82, 83, and you're in a 65 mile an hour zone. you can't be considered reckless driving by your speed, but guess what they're going to do? They're going to tack on an additional $100 to your fine.
Ouch.
So as a little deterrent to those of you that are like, okay, I'll skirt around this reckless driving thing and I'll just pay the
81,
speeding ticket.
Therefore, I can go 81 miles an hour.
There you go. All right, so there's the reckless driving statute.
And those are expensive tickets. Can we just say those are not cheap tickets to have to pay?
Well, and they're not supposed to be.
Right.
You know, it's supposed to be
A deterrent.
It's not a revenue generator. People who want to say, hey, you're only looking to make money for your county.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, folks, you're not speeding. I can't stop you for it. So who's trying to make money? I think you're trying to give your money away if you're going to go out here and do 15, 20, 25 over the limit and then not expect to be stopped and assessed some kind of penalty. So again, you know, when it comes to the speeding aspect, that is one thing that driver has the most control over.
I'm calculating in my head how many miles over I can go on Reliance before I get in trouble, but keep talking. That's probably the one thing that I do terribly.
You're my partner.
Again,
you
traffic
have no
crew,
wiggle room anymore.
Don't be on Reliance Road in an hour.
All right, here's one. And again, it's going to be people over here, hey, that's great news, and other people going, you know, big brother. Smoking in a vehicle with a minor present. Now, that's been a civil penalty now for a while in Virginia.
We talked about it ages ago.
Well, ages. It's funny you mention ages because that's what's changing with this code section. It used to be with a child 8 years of age or younger. Mm-hmm. Now it's any child under the age of 15.
Oh.
So if you have children that are not yet truly teenage, 16, 17, 18, and you have them in your vehicle and you're smoking in the car, you could be subjecting yourself to a $100 civil penalty. Now, I will say this is a secondary offense.
Okay, so they got to pull you over for something
Correct.
else.
Meaning if I see you going down the road and your little ones are in there watching Teletubbies or whatever on the backseat DVD player.
How old are you?
Hey, I'm older than you. We've determined this. If you're doing that, and that's the only thing you're doing wrong, you can't be pulled over for it. Hey, you pull up to a stoplight, stop sign, though, and your window's down, I could be like, hey, just a reminder, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know, you puff away unless you're doing something else.
Yeah.
But if you are doing something else or you have a dead inspection, dead tag, you have a taillight out, you can be pulled over for that infraction, and then on top of it, it's a $100 penalty. And again, I don't see this as Big Brother stuff. I see this as I remember growing up.
Sitting in the way back with no seatbelts and
not able to
windows up,
breathe.
parents smoking.
Yes.
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing. You know, these youngsters still in those development, those early years of development, you know, why introduce that stuff to them just to satisfy your habit? But yeah, $100 civil penalty.
We're still on the air. He's reading.
Yep, I'm just making sure I hit everything, and I did. So
he's really rusty on the radio.
You know, let's get a song going.
I don't know how to do that.
I can do the weather just like Kemp does.
Yeah.
Gonna be hot today.
Yeah. Explain to me how a cold front still has a 93-degree temperature. But okay, go ahead.
All right. Yielding the right of way to pedestrians. This is a question we've had recently. Does there have to be a crosswalk present? No. Okay. The law is that a driver of any vehicle on the highway shall yield the right of way to any pedestrian crossing such highway by stopping and remaining stopped until such pedestrian has passed the lane in which the vehicle is stopped. So, if you're on the right side of the road where you should be, pedestrians coming from the right, you stop. As they walk across in front of your vehicle and they are now into the other lane,
you can go. You
may slowly proceed. I'd probably wait another moment or two, but yes, you are required to stop. There doesn't have to be a crosswalk present. It's at any clearly marked crosswalk, whether mid-block or at the end of any block, at any intersection where the driver is approaching on a highway where the limit is not more than 35 miles per hour. Mm-hmm.
And if they're actively crossing, I think we had that conversation. If they're standing there talking to somebody else with no clear indication that they're about to cross
Correct.
the road, then it doesn't apply.
That's just a matter of, proceed with caution.
Right.
Even with a crosswalk there, if it doesn't look like they're in the process of crossing, you don't have to stop and wait for them to make the decision. When a vehicle is stopped pursuant to the subsection, the driver of any other vehicle approaching from the adjacent lane or from behind the stopped vehicle shall not overtake and pass any stopped vehicle. So whether you agree with, buddy, let's go, because you may not see the person.
That's true.
Because they're now directly in front of the truck in front of you. You go to come around them, woe be to you.
Yeah.
And especially if you didn't realize the pedestrian's there and now they walk out in front of you. So you're illegally passing at the time and you've hurt or maimed someone possibly.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
No pedestrian shall enter or cross an intersection in disregard of approaching traffic. This gives the motorist a little bit of protection now. If you're the pedestrian, you can't see the traffic coming and just be like, okay, now I'm going to go.
Oh,
they have to
really?
stop for me. No. What are you supposed to do as a pedestrian when you cross the street, Janet?
I'm supposed to look both ways. I know, but it's really annoying. If I want to cross the street, they should have to stop.
Look left, look right, look left again. If it's safe, you go. If it's not, you don't. Pedestrians crossing highways and intersections shall at all times have the right-of-way over vehicles making turns into the highways being crossed. This meaning you're the motorist. You're getting ready to make a right turn down here off of 55 onto
Commerce.
Okay? You're going to make that right turn onto a different roadway, and there's a person already on Commerce, a pedestrian, trying to cross. They have the right-of-way. Your right turn has to wait.
Okay.
Okay? You're yielding that right-of-way to that pedestrian who's already trying to come across.
That makes sense.
All right?
All right, how many more of these you got? We're running out of time. Even though I told you it didn't really matter how much time it took in the
That's
second
what I
segment.
thought. I mean, you tell me you want all this juicy stuff. I tried to bring you the goods, and now look at you.
Now I'm shutting you down.
Okay, I think I have.
Well, you only brought an encyclopedia full of all of this stuff.
Hey.
Now, do you guys have to take classes? Do you have to do pop quizzes with your team to say, hey, these are the new rules, and make sure they all understand them as well as you do?
Well, we do try to make sure that a deputy, a trooper, or an officer does know that. When they're stopping somebody, what they're stopping them for,
Well, yeah.
and that they're allowed to stop them for it. So the general answer to your question is yes.
But do you have things like, I remember I'm going to age myself like you did a minute ago with that whole Teletubbies thing. Hill Street Blues. Everybody used to come together in the squad room while the guy at the front would say, this is what's going on. Do you do those kinds of things with these new traffic laws?
Yeah. I mean, anytime we have something like this come along, we'll have a team meeting. The shifts, the agency actually had a legal update where not only these traffic laws, but some of the criminal updates were covered by the Commonwealth's attorneys recently.
Okay. All right, so you got one more?
Yes, farm use tags. This is one we needed to hit. All right, folks. Vehicles used for agricultural and farm purposes or other uses. No person shall be required to obtain the registration certificate, license plate, or decal, or pay for such for any vehicle exclusively used for agricultural or horticultural purposes on lands owned or leased by the vehicle's owner. Now, you're driving an 89 Chevy Camaro and you go down here to the Rural King and you buy yourself a plastic farm use tag and you slap it on there.
I had no idea those were even legal, by the way.
They're not. Not in that sense. Because you, whether you live on the farm or not, can't use the Camaro because the exemption shall apply to a pickup or panel truck, a sport utility vehicle, or vehicles having a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 7,500 pounds. So your four-door passenger car, your convertible, whatever the case may be, if it doesn't even fit that, it doesn't matter whether you live on the farm or not. You just can't go. The latest one I had that was one of the most ludicrous was a Chrysler 300 parked on the street in a subdivision with a farm use tag, and someone called in and complained. And we found the person who apparently had just bought the vehicle at an auction and put the farm use tag to drive it home. Didn't live on a farm, didn't work on a farm,
Don't they normally give you 30-day temp tags at an auction when you
would
buy
think
a
so.
car? I'd be looking into that auction a little bit more.
So there are legal ways to use those tags.
Right.
You put them on the pickup truck, and you're using that truck for true farm purposes. A couple of things that you need to realize. You can be on the roadway to get across from one parcel of land to the other.
Right.
You can't go more than 75 miles, though, regardless if the same owner has those two pieces of land.
Okay.
So there is a
little bit of a
distance
limitation.
You can use it to take the vehicle for repairs. You can operate along the highway to get to the landfill or a convenience center to get rid of refuse from the farm. Okay.
And I think, and so correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you will in a hurry. You can use it if you are going to someplace like Rural King or Southern States to pick up supplies
for the
feed
farm
or things like that for the farm.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the whole idea. Farm use means that vehicle is being used not only on the farm,
but for
things. That farming
mechanisms or
only. Now, the one thing they added is now that the vehicle owner can use the vehicle to get between his residence and the lands being used for the agricultural or horticultural purposes.
So I can drive it home from the farm and back.
One of the things that you need to be aware of, because I know we still have a lot of folks out there who are rural and who are working farms and orchards and such, if a law enforcement officer stops you, he or she is within their authority to validate that you're allowed to be operating that vehicle with that farm use tag. And you are required to give the address of the residence of the vehicle owner and of the farm. Okay, if those are different. So if you're working for the farm and Farmer Joe has said, hey, go on down to
go out to the North 40
Southern
and
States.
Get me,
Well, go down here to Southern States and pick me up some feed. And you get stopped, and it's not your vehicle, you have to be able to provide us that information. It's Farmer Joe's vehicle. Here's his tract of property. And that way, we know that you're within the use of it. And it's kind of like you want us to allow you to do this, then you got to comply with a couple of certain things. So there you go. If you see a vehicle other than a truck, a SUV, or a larger vehicle, number one, with a farm use tag on it, that's a red flag. And number two, even if you are in one of those vehicles and you're operating it, we do have the right to stop you just for having that tag on there to verify that you are within the code section. And if you are, you're going to be on your way.
But if you see a convertible with a hay bale in the back of it, after January 1st, you can't take a picture of it with your phone to send it to anybody. How about tying all that together in a neat little bow?
I mentioned the Camaro and you laughed, but I'm telling you, Janet, I pulled one over. The gentleman had a bag of chicken feed and a garden hose and told me that he raised chickens.
All right, I'm starting the last 60 seconds of music
there you go.
because I can't deal anymore. We are wrapping up our conversation for Traffic Safety Thursday with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. Gos, as always, very entertaining, very informational, educational. I appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming to hang out with me.
We're going to do it again next month?
Yeah, we'll do it again next month, and we'll have a whole different topic. And maybe
let's talk about antique tags.
Yes, I totally want to talk about antique tags. Okay, that's going to be it. I'm making a note, and that's what we're going to do. In case my favorite sheriff didn't catch it till the end, I just want to say hi to my favorite sheriff, Lenny Milholland. Tomorrow's show is United Way Day. It is already been recorded. I recorded it yesterday afternoon, so we're taking a trip in a time machine towards the end of the show. Make sure you tune back in for that tomorrow, a few minutes afternoon. Of course, if you missed today's show or any of our shows from this week, you can head over to theriver953.com. Click the podcast tab. There you'll see the Valley Today in the drop down, and you'll be able to listen to any of the shows from our website or any of the podcast apps, Apple, Google, or Spotify.